ladies and gentlemen. I am Keesha Carter. I am the founder and CEO of Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom. And I'm super excited today. We have a live interview with one of my dear friends, Crabtree. She and I met at a Till Diva retreat back in 2018. And I have the honor and pleasure of interviewing her today to share her story with all of you. She is a wife. She is a mother of 2. She's a grandmother of 4. She's a retired registered nurse, and she loves to camp in her RV. Can I come and join you, Chris?
You bet.
She loves to garden and read. I do too. She loves spending time with her family. She loves the outdoors and being in nature. She loves to feed her faith of God's miraculous creations. Oh my gosh, we have so much in common. And she is a 5-year survivor, stage 3 ovarian cancer. So Chris, for tonight's girlfriend time, I want us to first get started. Tell us about your story. When were you diagnosed and what age were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed in actually Mother's Day. What a lovely present, of May of 2015.
Wow.
At age 57. After many doctor's visits for the year and a half before, finally got a diagnosis. So
wow. So you were stage 3 ovarian cancer. How did you find out? Like, how were you diagnosed? How was it detected?
I had a CAT scan on a Monday. On the Tuesday, I had an annual GYN exam with my doctor of 20 years, who did not take my complaints seriously. I was in a lot of pain. And so by Thursday, I contacted both the gynecologist and my primary care and asked for a repeat CT scan and a transvaginal ultrasound. All of that happened on Friday. When I left the hospital on Friday afternoon from the CT scan, about an hour later, I got a call from the hospital, from the radiologist, who said, "You absolutely must go to the emergency room right now. You have acute appendicitis." I was really excited because that's very fixable.
Yeah.
So I went to the emergency room to have the lovely ER doctor say, "No, ma'am. They just told you that to get you here. That is not what's going on. You have some sort of gynecological cancer." And so ultimately, I was admitted to the hospital on Saturday to meet the GYN oncologist. And he did surgery on Sunday for a basketball-sized tumor.
Wow.
Yeah, I did.
So what kind of symptoms that you had before you were diagnosed, like that prompted you to?
For a year and a half before, I had symptoms that would come and go. And that is, of course, one of the problems with diagnosing ovarian cancer is that women will develop a symptom and then it'll go away and then there'll be something else. So feeling full too quick, frequent urination, excessive gas. I actually had hormonal headaches, which is not a common thing, but it did happen. I can look back at pictures of myself then, and my abdomen was very lopsided, which I thought was odd then when I was looking at the pictures, but now I know why.
Yeah.
Extreme fatigue, actually abdominal pain that would be significant enough to send me to urgent care. And then they'd say it was diverticulitis, and then it would go away. And, I did a couple of trips like that. So a lot of the common known symptoms I had.
Yeah. Wow. So with the size that large, did you notice was it noticeable?
It was noticeable in those pictures.
Okay.
But to touch my abdomen. In hindsight, there was something there, but not knowing anything. But it was really frustrating because I was feeling so badly over that year that I decided to take charge of my health and ended up at a women's gym and was going 5 days a week. Got really pretty strong, but could not lose any weight. Well, you can't lose weight when you're growing a basketball.
Exactly. It's not going anywhere. Yeah.
So,
wow. So how did that make you feel? Like once you were diagnosed, you know, a lot of times, you know, people hear all kinds of stories of what it's like to be diagnosed with cancer, but no one can tell it like someone who's actually experienced it. What was that feeling like for you?
well, I think my experience may be a little bit different than some people's because I am an RN, and so the medical stuff doesn't freak me out as much as somebody who didn't understand it. So actually, I was really kind of relieved at first to have a diagnosis, in part because I was ignorant about the lethality of ovarian cancer, how deadly it truly is, and that it likes to keep reoccurring. So I didn't know how potentially dire the prognosis could be. So at first I was like, great, we know what it is. They'll have something to fix it, and I'll get on the stuff and I'll go on down the road. My fears and anxieties, once I began to research and understand the disease, that's when it really, began to blow up. And what actually happened was I got really mad because I have a very strong history of these cancers. And I knew that. And my 20-year gynecologist knew it. But he was uneducated about the current science. He would always ask me, well, did they get diagnosed before age 50? To which the answer was no. Well, that's not accurate science now. And had he been accurate with his science, then I could have had genetic testing. I could have had preventive surgery. I could be cancer free.
Yeah.
So, but because the science was there 10 years before I was diagnosed. So he should have been up to date. It wasn't like a brand new thing.
Yeah.
So when I figured all of this out and I was so angry, I had two choices: sue him. I was not in any physical condition to deal with that. In addition to the fact that I lived in a state that had tort reform. So malpractice lawsuits, the maximum that you could get was $25,000 in any malpractice lawsuit. So it was not worth it to me. I needed positive things in my life. I needed peace. I needed to be focused on healing, not on fighting a battle that was going to bring me virtually nothing.
That's right.
So I
went through that.
I got a big pad of legal paper, the bright yellow one, and I wrote him a 3-page letter and told him how he had failed me. And I never got a response from him.
Yeah.
But I was in the hospital 3 days after my surgery when he came to the door of my room, and he looked in, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and he didn't say anything and I didn't say anything, but we both knew that he had failed, and that was enough. That was enough. That in the letter I was able to tell him, and hopefully he was able to change his practice and do better for someone else.
Yeah. Wow. See, at least you had the opportunity to say something. I never wrote the doctor that I felt failed me. I went to the doctor. They told me that I was diagnosed with HPV, the human papillomavirus, and I moved to North Carolina. They never would send me my records. And it was like 5 months later. And so I was so concerned about healing and trying to stay positive. I never took any action. So now that you mentioned about history, of cancer in your family, can you tell us more about that? And, did your family talk about it, or, how did you know that you had a history of cancer in your family?
Well, my mother died of breast cancer in her early 70s. And I knew that her older sister had ovarian cancer, although she didn't actually die from that. So I knew those things, and I knew that their father had prostate cancer. So when I was diagnosed, then I was able to get the genetic testing, and we were able to figure out that it came down that chain from my grandfather with prostate to my mother and her sister. I have shared that information with all of my cousins, only one of whom has chosen to pursue genetic testing for herself. Fortunately, it was negative. But I'm kind of sad that none of the others have chosen to take a progressive action for themselves. Because in fact, my daughter is also BRCA positive. So now she's young enough to make some choices about preventative surgeries.
Yeah. Is the BRCA testing helps to see if you have a genetic like background, and if you are, you already know that, okay, my mom has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. It's wise for her to get the BRCA testing and like you said, take preventative action. So that's good that you at least had that conversation with your daughter.
Yeah, because any child of someone with a BRCA mutation only has a 50% chance of having the mutation themselves. So, that's pretty good odds, because you could just as easily not. So it shouldn't be that scary to people to find out,
Yeah. So are you currently in treatment right now, or are you finished with treatment?
I am 2 years out from treatment for my first reoccurrence. So I did have one reoccurrence in 2018. So I currently only get lab work and a pelvic exam every 3 months. My doctor doesn't do routine scans, which is fine for me, because the science says that routine scans don't offer any benefit to overall survival. But if I have any kind of symptoms, which I have had from time to time, then I will tell her about them, and she will use the scan. But I'll be honest, and I tell other women this too, I'm not beyond embellishing my symptoms to get that scan if that's what I feel I need at that time, because we're not doing routine scans. And
we got to advocate for yourself. And that's one of my main things. If you're feeling something.
People are like, why are you lying to your doctor? No, I'm not. I'm just making it very clear that this is what I need. Because for me, my tumor marker is always normal. So it's not, I can't use that as a tool. So I have to rely on paying attention to my body and getting those scans when something's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So, you mentioned you have your children. Tell me about your support network or your team, and did you have a good support network? And if so, how did that make you feel having them around? Was it helpful for you?
When I was diagnosed, my support network was really small. It was my husband and a dear friend, because my daughter was at college and my son, like a lot of people, just couldn't deal with the whole cancer concept. So my husband and my dear friend did everything from helping me with personal care to keeping the house up to you name it, they did it. And
that's good.
And I was very, very grateful for that. It's also a highly guilt-producing situation, because you're used to getting up, taking care of yourself, taking care of your house, going to work, being a part of the solution, part of the partnership. And there you are, unable to do virtually anything for yourself, at least for a period of time. So I was grateful for them, but I was also very, it's not a good feeling to be that dependent on people. It's a very humbling place to be. If you can accept that humbling experience as a positive and grow with it, it's also very spiritual.
It's hard. It's hard to ask for help for a lot of us, like you said, who we're used to working hard, you know, taking care of the family, doing everything ourselves. And then now all of a sudden, you know, somebody's pushing me around in a wheelchair. Someone's, you know, helping me to stand up. Like I'm needing help to get out of bed. And it changes your whole perspective about life and about relationships with other people. So yeah, you're right. It's hard. It's a hard experience to go through. What about, like, one of the things that I've learned, especially, you know, this is my 11th year that I've been cancer free, and I've been learning about a lot of programs, and over the years, new ones have developed, of course. So were you ever offered any programs or services to help you with your treatment process, or any costs that you might have incurred with your treatment?
The short answer to that is no.
Okay.
Fortunately, I didn't need any financial help. I had really good insurance.
Good.
So I was okay financially. But nobody talked about, hey, do you need a ride to chemo? You know, nothing. And in the town that I lived in at the time, there were 2 cancer centers. And I asked, is there a support group? Any kind of cancer support group? Oh, no, we don't have that. Well, what they weren't telling me was that the cancer center across town did have a gynecological support group that met in person. But because of politics, they weren't telling me this. Eventually, I found that group in a very roundabout way. There's a group on the internet called inspire.com. Are you familiar?
Yes.
And they have a gynecological ovarian group. Many different cancers on there. But anyway, I was on that one night, and a woman responded to me from my town and said, hey, we have this group over here, come join us. So that was pretty nice. And once I found them, it was great. It was really good.
That's awesome.
In person.
Yeah.
And share experiences and learn. And so it was great.
That's powerful. A lot of people don't take advantage of the support that's out there. I mean, now you have all of these Facebook groups, like you said, Inspire, different organizations, and some people are just scared to connect. You know, like some people are embarrassed about their situation, or they're uncomfortable to talk about it. And it has really helped me with the mental and emotional and even the spiritual aspects of facing and dealing with cancer, because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't realize that it's traumatic. So there's some PTSD that we deal with, right?
There is. And I just really encourage people to try to step outside of their fear and their anxiety. You don't have to share what you don't want to share.
Right.
But you can learn so much from others who are going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and you can get so much support from people. People
Yeah.
are really kind, and for the most part, kind and
Mm-hmm.
generous on those groups. You know,
Yeah.
they want to be there for you.
Yeah. So with your treatment, did you have any like major obstacles that you had to overcome? And if you did, how did you overcome those obstacles? Did I lose you, Chris? Uh-oh. Okay, I'm not sure what happened. It looks like we lost Chris for a moment, so I'm gonna give her a moment to chime back in. If there's anybody out there that has a question or a comment, please go ahead and put it in the chat below, and we'll do our best to get to you. So go ahead and do that. I hope that this interview is helpful for you all. If you're a survivor and you're out there, and or even a caregiver, someone that is dealing with one of the gynecologic cancers, we have this month is September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month and Gynecologic Cancer Awareness Month. There's Chris.
So sorry, I have no idea what happened.
I don't know, but it happens, you know, dealing with technology, right?
Well, I live in the country on a satellite internet connection.
Okay.
So sometimes it can be kind of glitchy.
Yeah.
Very inappropriate. Sorry.
That's okay. It happens. I was just, you know, letting the people know that it's Gynecologic Cancer Awareness Month and Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. So, you know, we will be doing ongoing interviews, but this is a timely opportunity for us to get the word out and let people know to get checked. You know, don't listen to your body, advocate for yourself, just like Chris did, you know, and we continue to do on an ongoing basis. So, I wanted to ask you next how I asked you about obstacles, any obstacles that you might have had during treatment. Did you have any obstacles that you had to overcome? And if so, how did you overcome those obstacles?
Because I didn't have financial issues, I had a decent support system.
Mm-hmm.
Chemo didn't actually make me just horribly sick.
Good.
But I had a real big obstacle in my physical care, because one of the things that happened was that I ended up with what's called an ileostomy. It is a bag on your upper abdomen for your bowels, and I'm highly allergic to all adhesives.
Oh.
So trying to keep that functional, clean, on, all of that was a horrific nightmare.
Mm.
To the point that I actually had to go back to the surgeon and say, you have to reverse this regardless of the circumstances, because I actually became suicidal over it.
Wow, Chris.
Well, when you can't do anything because you have feces running down the front of you 24/7, you can't go to work, you can't go to the store, nothing. You'd wake up in the middle of the night, have to get in the shower. I couldn't do it.
Wow. Mm.
And fortunately, he agreed to do that. So that was pretty traumatic, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody with any, but I have to say, for the audience sake, that many people manage these ostomies with no issues. This is not the norm for people. I don't want people to be frightened of that. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was pretty much the biggest obstacle to it.
So once he reversed it, everything, how was
Yeah, then
that?
I just was able to finish chemo and progress on down the road.
Okay, good. So now, I know you said that you've had a recurrence. Um, Outside of that, I know that is one of the things that we think about often in the cancer community. It's something we don't want to happen, and it can happen sometimes. What has life after cancer been for you? Life after cancer treatment?
Some people don't like to hear this. It doesn't work for them, and that's okay. But for me, cancer has truly been a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Before cancer, I was a very controlling, anxious, always planning the outcome of everything. My mind was never still, always had the squirrel cage going. And now I have no more squirrel cage. Even though I know that my cancer can come back and most likely will at some point, I don't worry about it. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
about it every day. My mind is quiet, my heart's at peace. Life is slower,
Mm-hmm.
but in a lot of ways it's more full. I have more contentment, I have more joy. I'm more focused on the day to day. And I'm not sure that I would have ever gotten there as a person without the trauma of cancer.
Wow. Wow. We hear all the time how people have turned their pain into their purpose, turned their mess into their message. So I can agree. I wouldn't have Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom if it wasn't for me going through cancer treatment. I mean, maybe it could have come a different way, but it has really changed my life. And like what you said, it's really turned me around whole 180 degrees.
I like myself better now. And I know my family likes me better now.
Well, that's really good news. We want to make sure that our family and friends love us, right? Like us, like to be around us.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you not being so kind and loving, Chris.
Oh, I've always been kind and loving.
Oh,
Kind of hard to see through the other.
so after going through all of what we've gone through, it's been, like you said, it's been a traumatic experience. We've had some good experiences, like we met at a retreat where we get to meet some phenomenal women who have come from all walks of life and backgrounds and experiences, and we get to share cancer with them, but from a totally different perspective, right?
Right.
It's been an experience that we always say it's a club we don't want to be a part of, but we're glad we're a part of, right? So what do you wish anybody could have told you before, during, or after treatment that you would want someone else to know about?
There's a lot of things they don't tell you about cancer treatment. And honestly, I don't think that if they tried to tell us every little thing that we will and do experience, we would probably all just walk out the door and say, just call hospice, I'm done. Not playing on this playground.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the thing to remember about all of it is that there is so much positive that you can seek from if you're willing to be open. So many people to learn from, so many people who are willing to just bare their souls to you, to help you,
Yeah.
you know. Um,
Absolutely.
but you have to be open and you have to be willing and let them into your lives. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and but most of all, don't take no for an answer when you know something isn't right with your body. If
Mm-hmm.
you need a
Mm-hmm.
second opinion or a third opinion or a fourth opinion, go and get it. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and don't be bullied into thinking by anyone, your doctor, your family, anyone, that that's not important to your survival and to your mental health.
That's right. That's good. Don't take no for an answer. That's really
So
good. That's good. So, are you active in the cancer community? And if you are, in what capacity are you involved in the cancer community?
I currently live in an area with very limited cancer community, um,
Okay.
but that didn't stop us.
Yes.
I met with a few gynecological cancer women here, and we kibitzed about the issue.
Mm-hmm.
We made contact with a couple of social workers that deal with the cancer community,
Mm-hmm.
and developed a patient steering committee for the big medical
Mm-hmm.
center here.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last year, we have finally gotten the medical center to actually have a patient support group, which meets monthly.
Nice.
Of course, now we meet online, but they had
Mm-hmm.
nothing before that. And
Wow.
they've also now developed an educational series that the doctors are doing online
Mm-hmm.
on different cancer topics, nutrition and so forth. And so that's progress. That's progress. From
Absolutely.
zero to something is progress. And I'm pleased for that. I'm a volunteer with FORCE, which is Facing Our Risk of Cancer Empowered. It's an educational and advocacy group for people with genetic cancers.
Okay.
You can find it online under FORCE. And of course, I'm active on several Facebook groups, specifically for ovarian cancer.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And when we finish here, we can put that link to that website down in the comment section so that the people will know how to connect with Forrest. And thank you for sharing that. So I know you've already shared like advocate how important it is to advocate for yourself, how important it is to don't take no for an answer. Do you have any other message that you would like to share with the community or to women who are apprehensive about going to the doctor? Because that's real, you
It
know?
is real, but fear and anxiety are your enemy. You would not go to the doctor if your child was sick.
Mm-hmm.
We as women tend to put our families, our children, our husbands, our other
Yes.
loved ones, we put them ahead of ourselves. We take care of them. We ignore
Mm-hmm.
our own physical needs and changes.
Mm-hmm.
And um, with a disease like ovarian cancer, where the symptoms are subtle, they change, they come, they go, it's not an option to do that. You wouldn't do it if it were your child. You wouldn't let your mother do it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So treat yourself as well as you would your loved ones and
Mm-hmm.
go to the doctor. A pap smear does not diagnose ovarian cancer, doesn't even give them a hint.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, for ovarian cancer, there isn't a good test. So
Mm-hmm.
ovarian cancer is diagnosed at a late stage, stage threes and fours.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do that to yourself. Go to the doctor.
Yeah, that's good. And so if you had one word or phrase that you could share to encourage women who are currently in treatment or who've had some roadblocks or some obstacles in their process, what would you say?
Advocate for yourself as if it was your child.
Mm, that's good. You know, I don't think that, like you said, I don't think that women think about themselves like that. You know, we put ourselves on the back burner. So
Always. If
yeah,
particularly
that's good.
anybody that has children or mothers, or, you know, if you're taking care of your parents or you're taking care of your husband,
Yes.
you know, we're always the caregivers.
Hmm. Wow. So, you know, with Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom, we bring awareness through the creative arts. You know, art, music, dance, any kind of arts. We even have a knitting and crocheting group that we meet with quarterly. So, are you creative? Do you find yourself leaning towards some type of creative arts to, you know, cope with things, you know, in a therapeutic way?
Well, I do like to crochet, although I haven't participated in your group with that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing that I do is ceramics,
Mm.
and I stepped outside my box this past year. The
Mm-hmm.
local hospital was having a patient art contest. So
Okay.
I did enter one of my ceramic pieces in the art contest.
So,
That
how
was,
did it go?
well, of course I didn't win anything, but that's okay. Just to step outside my box and put
Yes,
something out there was a big step forward. And then
that's awesome.
one of my other creative outlets is actually baking,
Mm.
canning and baking. I love to can and to bake, and people are like, well, that's just housework. But it's not. It's fun.
Nice. So I'm gonna have to make a visit to Virginia, right? Is it West
Right.
Virginia?
Virginia.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to come up there and learn how to can and bake some goodies with you.
You're
So,
welcome.
huh?
You'd be welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So I know we met at a workshop, well, at a retreat where I did my workshop. And you also read The Love After Cancer, the book that I'm an author of. So I would just love to hear some feedback, share with the community, with our community, what your thoughts are from reading Love After Cancer and experiencing the workshop that I did, the TEAL workshop, Therapeutic Expressions in Artistic Letters.
That was a lot of fun. The workshop was a lot of fun and totally outside of my comfort zone. You know, because by nature, I'm actually an introvert. So
Mm-hmm.
all of that interaction with all of those ladies was a lot to absorb, but I really enjoyed it, and was kind of surprised at myself that I was able to participate without just, you know, turning all shades of red. But
How was it sharing your story to the ladies? You know, because I know that's hard. It's hard, especially if you're an introvert.
it was hard, but I thought it was very empowering, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and but what was even more empowering for me was hearing others' stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess because you know your own story inside out, but
Mm-hmm.
hearing other people's stories was pretty amazing. And some of the talent in that room that night was just awesome. Awesome.
Yes. Yes. It's amazing how you give people an opportunity, and like you said, they surprise themselves on what they're able to produce, and it's all in fun. But I want to encourage people in general, but I want to encourage us women, especially those of us who've gone through something traumatic, to just try and express yourself in some way, form, or fashion. And the creative arts is very therapeutic in helping to cope with anything traumatic. So thank you for participating. I know we always have a great time doing that workshop. So tell me, what do you think about Love After Cancer?
You know, I wish that's a book that women could have in the beginning. You know, I'm
Wow.
5 years into the journey, because you put so many tools in there to help people think through the emotions and what they're feeling and how they're going to manage it, that I didn't really have the opportunity to use at the point that it would have been great to use them to. So I would love to find a way to help you get those books out to women as they're getting diagnosed.
Wow.
But I was really impressed with the level of professional writing in your work. And
Thank you.
I've read some small semi-self-published books in the past, and yours comes off as a very professional work.
Thank you.
But it touched my heart greatly in the spiritual thread that runs throughout the book. It's not overwhelming for someone who's not on that wavelength.
Good.
But for someone who is, it's very empowering and very touching. So I really would like to find a way to help you get the book out there to others sooner.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. Oh my gosh.
So think about that and what we could do together to do that.
I'm just touched because, when I think about when I was starting to write that book, I was scared. I didn't really want to do it. And I have been encouraged and encouraged and encouraged by many people. But just hearing you say how it would be helpful before the process, I was thinking after, love after cancer. So, I've even heard men tell me who've read the book that it was, it was an inspiring book for them. So thank you for sharing. I really do look forward to seeing how we can get this out to more people, that book Love After Cancer, because I know it's an expression of me. It shares my story. It has my journal writing in it, and it encourages others to share their own story. So thank you for taking part in that experience and allowing me to get into your mind so that you can hopefully express yourself more frequently, more readily, So thank you for sharing that. And if you out there and you want to take part in what we're doing, we want to hear how you speak against cancer. You've heard Chris share her story. You've heard her passion for you speaking for yourself. You've heard her tell you, to think of yourself as you would your children or your mother or someone that you care for, and advocating for yourself. So if you want to join us and helping to spread the word about HPV, the human papillomavirus, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, and the other gynecologic cancers, we will definitely put our information below. You can email me at Keesha Carter at scottinc.org, and we'll put that in the comment section below. And if you want to share your story, we are looking for survivors and caregivers, no matter where you are on the journey within the gynecologic cancer community. We want to hear from you. And there's someone who's going to be touched by your story. You never know how you might just have actually saved someone's life. So thank you, Chris, for sharing your story today.
Thank
And
you.
I cannot wait to, connect with you on a higher level, because I believe that's why we were connected. And until next time, y'all, that is it for the interview with Keesha Carter with our special guest, Chris Crabtree. Thanks again, and y'all have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.